I feel like everybody really needs to have a high interest savings account in their financial portfolio. And those accounts need to be connected to your primary checking account. Why do I say this? As a former banker, I've worked at some big banks you've heard of. I think I have a unique kind of view on this, so just bear with me for a few minutes as we talk about the case for having a high interest savings account. Really, the first question is, why do you need to have one? Well, if you don't have one, you're really missing out on a high rate of return. And that high rate of return is coming from money that's invested risk-free. You put your deposits in a savings account, they're insured up to, I think, $250,000. If you have more money than that, then you probably aren't listening to me. So your money is insured, it's safe, it's going to earn a high return, around a little over 5% right now. Also, interest rates are not going to be coming back down anytime soon, as you can see. Interest rates have been historically very low for well over a decade. I don't know that they're going to be going back to zero. And frankly, you're being ripped off. Your money is probably with one of the bigger banks and they're paying 0.01% interest. You're really missing out. So why don't you know about all this? This is, I think really the key here is that the interest rates have been so low for so long that I think in terms of financial literacy, we really haven't talked about savings accounts. You can see here, this is the historical interest rate over time, and you can see from about the financial crisis in 2008 onward, interest rates have been zero or near zero. But then you can see historically, going back to the 60s, the 80s, interest rates were much, much higher. So it's likely that interest rates are going to be good enough to where having a high interest account is probably going to pay. So what's the downside? Why don't people do this? Well, yeah, you have your money in a couple different places. That's an issue, right? You have some money here, some money there. You can mitigate this. A lot of online banking accounts have the ability to be able to view other accounts that are outside or foreign accounts. So go to your online banking service and you can find a way to set up the ability to kind of be able to see the accounts, other accounts, and you just enter in the information and you'll be able to see that money. So there are ways you can see all your money in one place, but that is one reason why people don't do it. The other reason is it takes time to set up. I think on the positive end, it's a one-time thing to set up a new account and then connect it with your checking account, and I think I'll do a video to show how to do that. And also these banks that we'll talk about in a minute are new, they're growing, they're online only. They're making this easier and easier to do this all the time. I think another downside is I think there's concern about how long does it take to move money from the savings account into the checking account if you need to pay a bill. It used to be 2 days. Now I'm seeing with my account, if I enter the transfer request in the morning, by the end of the day, it's already occurred. And I think the reason for this is that the ACH rules have changed. The speed of transfers are happening 1 day quicker than they used to. So that's benefiting you as well. And the other downside would be the downside to having any kind of savings account, any kind of account at all. Are there fees? In this case, are there withdrawal limits? So buyer beware. Obviously, if you get an account, that you want to make sure it's a good one, and we'll talk about how to choose that as well. So there we are. So how to find an account. So first of all, you need to shop around a bit. You need to be wary of any kind of teaser promotional offers. So you need to shop around. You need to be wary of any promotional offers that are teaser rates. They may be offering a rate for a limited period of time. They may be offering a rate based on a very high balance. There may be minimum balance requirements. There may be monthly fees. So buyer beware. Honestly, in my opinion, you shouldn't have to get an account that has any of those elements. You shouldn't have to pay fees. You shouldn't have to have a minimum balance that's more than something reasonable. You shouldn't have to rely on a promotional teaser rate. 'cause the idea is obviously once you get the money into the account, they know it's hard for you to switch accounts. But we're going to show you how to switch accounts easily. Honestly, I would recommend Clark.com for choosing an account. Let me put up. I think Clark.com I would trust, and I've used other online comparative tools, if you will, in the past. I don't want to say what names there are for auto loans, and by the end, I think I probably got spammed, called, emailed, texted for weeks. So I like that Clark.com is Clark Howard is a trusted personal finance expert. He doesn't have any skin in the game. He's been around for a very long time. And I'm on his page right now, so if you go to Clark.com and you just search savings accounts, he's going to show you who's got what. Now this list changes all the time, and we'll talk about why, but this is a good place to go. He lays it out pretty clearly. So a bank called Raisin, I've never heard of them before, but minimum deposit, minimum balance, and so on. There's your APY, your annual percentage yield. So that tells you what you're going to be making on your deposit, and you can see that these are some companies that maybe we've not heard of. SoFi is new, American Express is interesting, Capital One, Ally. So go there, check out, and use that to help you shop. I think the important thing is that these rates change. So there may be, Raisin Bank may be offering the best right now, but in a year they may not be offering the best. So keep your eye on this, and don't be afraid to make a change to get your rates up if you feel like you need to do that. So personally, I currently use Basque Bank, which was on that list. In the past, I've used Ally Bank. So I can talk to both experiences. Again, I'd say Basque Bank is very quick. Like I said, I've been able to move money out of Basque Bank into my primary checking account same day. I think the other important thing is to make sure that the bank is FDIC insured. I'm looking at the website, I don't know if it says that, but make sure you look for FDIC insured bank. It's very important. And then just remember that API rate, that is the amount of compound interest includes the amount of compound interest in a year. So if you put $5,000 into a savings account and it's a 5% APY, you're going to make almost that 5%. You're going to make almost $50 a year on that account. So that's not nothing. So another question that comes up is, why are these banks offering these great rates, and the other question is, why aren't the bigger banks, your Bank of Americas, your Chases, and so on, why aren't they offering comparable rates? Well, one big thing is that the big banks, frankly, may not even want your deposits. They don't need the deposits. If a bank is making an acquisition, they don't want to have their deposits be a certain level, so they may want to keep their deposits low. Frankly, I think a lot of people don't move their money around. It's really, once you're with a bank, you stay with that bank, and so they probably feel that you're not going to leave, which is another great reason to kind of go through this process and encourage you to move your money. The big banks know that you're probably not going to leave. You're comfortable, you're set, everything's fine. Forget the $50 a year per $1,000 of savings, and so they don't need to do anything. When they start seeing deposits depart, then they'll probably take action, but that hasn't happened yet as far as I can tell. So these small banks, why are they doing it? Well, they want to grow. I think they're trying to get new deposits. Certainly with, I know about Ally Bank. Ally Financial is actually mostly about auto lending. So Ally Bank was formed as a way to get deposits into the bank that they could then lend out for auto lending or they still do. They still go out to Wall Street and borrow money that way to then lend money out to people who are borrowing or who are buying cars. And but that now they have another channel to get deposits. So some banks really just want another channel for funds to come in so that they can do, whatever business they're doing, lending or what have you. Some of these banks, I think, are online only banks that are being formed. I think, Baskin never heard of. There's a bank called Genius, which is actually an online bank that's part of Sumitomo Bank, which is a big Japanese bank. So these are just little startup online only banks. I think part of that strategy is that I think branch banking is coming to an end. I think branch banks will probably go away with the baby boomers, maybe, and they may hang around until Gen X is in retirement age. But what do you really need to go into a branch anymore? Those are very expensive footprints. Whereas an online bank, it's just all the systems in the back end. There's really no need for people and for bricks and mortars. So online banking is the wave of the future. I suspect these companies want to get in on that. The benefit to you is they can pass that savings on to you as a banking customer. Why should you have to subsidize all the Chases and all the Banks of America everywhere? Those branches, just that you don't even use. So I think online banks are very much positioning themselves to take more market share. And the other final reason is, why are these rates good? People who have savings accounts, I think, are probably better risks for the banks in general. Certainly it's a savings account, so I think it's a low risk play for them as well. So like I said, I would strongly encourage anybody to get an online savings account. Make sure you're getting paid for the amount of deposits, getting paid for the deposits you have, instead of getting paid 0.01%. You should be getting paid about 5%, 5.27 if you're with Raisin right now, apparently. And again, these rates aren't, the interest rates are not going to be coming back down for a while. So again, it's a risk-free way to get paid on your cash. You can have that cash as your emergency fund or whatever. But in the meantime, that you're getting paid a fair rate for it. So thanks for listening. Appreciate your time.